What's up, YouTube and everybody out there on the internet? I'm the Layman, and it's time to look at the new RWBY episode because, well, remember how I said a couple vlogs back about how that one episode ducktailed off of the scene from the previous? This one's kind of like that, except literally no time has passed in between episodes 11 and 12. And basically the first thing we experience in this episode is Jean screaming out Weiss's name because, of course. And I can safely say this without spoiling anything that happens later in the episode. RWBY is okay. RWBY is perfectly fine. That knock on the back of the head didn't knock her out permanently, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically the first thing we experience in this episode is like I said, Jean screaming out what's his name. And then it basically does a rehash of the whole everybody's shocked expression thing. After which, you know, Jean runs over to Weiss, and basically a lot of stuff happens. We're starting to get into endgame here, people, so bear with me as I try to remember this. Because these are packed episodes, I gotta say. But we don't actually focus on Jean and Weiss for the moment. No, we actually focus on Oscar, who basically just, there's no other way to put this, he bitch slaps Lionheart with his cane, like, downstairs, and it is one of the most hilarious things this season. And with how serious everything has gotten so far, I forgot that RWBY can actually be funny, but that's a discussion for another time. And yeah, Lionheart tumbles end over end, falls into Hazel, the big dude, remember, and informs him that Oscar is in fact not just a little boy who's thrashing him, but is Ozpin. Which, after briefly establishing that RWBY is waking up, that knowledge causes Hazel to basically go Hulk, for all intents and purposes. Excuse me. And this is an interesting callback to, I believe, Volume 2, where Ozpin and everybody were talking about, like, when Cinder raided the CCT tower, how she was able to do the things she did. Hazel takes out a couple dust crystals in each hand and then just jabs them right into his arms. Which, I did not think they would actually follow up on that. That little detail that has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle and was, like, literally not even in a bullet point in Volume 3. So it was interesting to see that. After it's established that that Oscar basically needs to, you know, make with the runnings, he's told by the doctor to run. I'm trying to make a connection to Doctor Who, and I'm failing. Ignore that. But after Ozpin basically tells Oscar to run, we establish that, and then basically after that the Cinder basically says that they need to that her, Raven, and Vernal need to get moving, and makes Lionheart open the door to the vault for whatever artifact is in. I forget what they said, but can I just say that's the most improbable key mechanism that I've even in RWBY. This just my mind cannot. It's because he puts his stopwatch in something on the statue, and then just makes more sense when you see the episode. After which we cut to Yang, who's still in a little bit of shock, understandably, but Nora says that the rest of them will handle take care of RWBY and Weiss, so she should just go fight. But you know, Emerald and Mercury are still a thing, so they kind of gang up on Yang before she can really do anything. After which we go back to Ozpin, Oscar, and what's his name, Hazel, and we start delving into his backstory, which, thank goodness, I need... Like, the long and short of it is, like Hazel's sister Gretchen. Okay, that's a canon RWBY name. Some of my fanfiction is validated. Wanted to become Huntress, enrolled in Beacon, and lost her life in a training mission. And he basically wants Ozpin's head on a pike for that. And yeah, throughout all of this, Ozpin's been trying to get Oscar to let him have control again, but Oscar's kind of being a bit stubborn. Like, good on you, boy, for growing a backbone, but now is not the time. Read the freaking room. So Ozpin basically just forces his control again, so he can take care of Hazel himself. Which then we finally cut over to Jean, and who is now joined by Ren, and they're tending to Weiss. Jean trying to keep pressure on the wound, but it's not looking good. They say that Weiss is not breathing a lot, so she doesn't have a lot of time. And naturally, this upsets Jean a lot, and I'm sure it upsets all the it was upsetting for all the fans as well. Before we see something glowy coming from the bottom of the shot, that's holding on Jean's melancholy face, and camera pans down. His hands are glowing. Weiss is glowing too, and I think we've officially unlocked Jean's semblance now, which we've seen hints of previously in the show, like literally as far back as Volume 1 with him and Pyrrha after she first unlocked his aura, and then later with Cardin the bear fight thing. But now though, I do believe that he's finally figured out what it is and can therefore use it more at will. And yeah, everybody's happy about this. But it takes a while. It clearly takes a while to take effect because, like, the last we see of that is like Weiss like sharp intake of breath before it cuts over again. We basically cut to Ozpin showing that, yeah, he's actually a pretty good fighter. At least when he has like a body that isn't ravaged by age or whatever to work with. So, no, I'm not going to get mad at the end of Volume 3. That's in the past. But yeah, he's actually thrashing Hazel something good. At which point we cut back to Jean Ren Weiss, and they actually realize what's happening. That Jean's hands are glowy and stuff. And that's actually when RWBY stands up and is cognizant enough to realize what's going on around her. And yeah, she rushes over, obviously, because her partner's on the ground. No, the bonds of Beacon will not be broken so easily. Right, Blake, get over here. Anyway, yeah, and then after realizing Jean's actually healing her, that's when she notices everything else going on around her, and she basically falls into leader mode. So yeah, she sends Ren over to help Oscar, who was previously being helped by Crow, but Crow's actually getting pounded as well. And she keeps Nora, to guard Jean and Weiss, and Nora is actually a badass in that moment. Rock on. At which point RWBY goes over to help Yang, because might as well fight 2-on-2 if you're gonna fight at all. And it's at that point we learn that she's not fine. She's mad. You wouldn't like her when she's mad. And I'm sure we'll get to see what that looks like next episode, because after that we cut back to... Well, actually, I skipped a bit. I skipped a bit where I'm gonna call them the Maiden trio, just so that I don't have to keep saying all their names at once. But they're on the elevator going down, and Raven's waxing grand about the power of the Maiden, blah blah blah, her evil shtick and whatnot. And yeah, Vernal's being all like blah blah. blah blah rebellion, blah blah, all that. And Raven's all blah blah. Let's just do this, blah blah. And the elevator finally gets to the bottom, and the vault is really interesting looking. It's got a very like natural like epic fantasy vibe to it, because it's basically a big tree with glowy leaves and like flower fan petal doors. I'm not sure if I'm describing it right, but it looks awesome. And yes, and yeah, afterwards, like, I think it's right before they get to the bottom, Raven puts on her mask because, you know, it's serious business time. And they all step off, the floor starts glowing. And Vernal, you know, starts walking towards the doors. And Cinder's explaining how it's actually gonna, well, how it's actually supposed to work and how she's, and what she wants to happen. And yeah, and Vernal's understandably a little bit hesitant, you know, actually opening the door. This is like big, and I don't just mean the door, like the whole situation is like a lot bigger than I'm sure she's probably faced before. And Raven, being, you know, Raven, is about to double cross Cinder, which I totally called she was going to try to do that. Right before that happens, though, like, Cinder double crosses her, like freezes her in some dust, in a very cool backwards fire thing. Then basically impales Vernal with the arm that we've previously not seen until now, which is apparently made of Grim Shadows, and it's got a very like bone structure looking, and it's honestly kind of a cool design. But yeah, Cinder basically goes through her shtick while slowly draining the life from Vernal and wanting to trying to claim her maiden powers as her own. Thing about that, though, is that Vernal doesn't have any maiden powers, because turns out she's not the Spring Maiden. And you want to know who is? It's the lady that was previously frozen, broke out, and after ripping off her masks, declares that she is the Spring Maiden. It was Raven the whole time, which makes all the sense, and literally everything she's ever done, they've ever shown her do, at least in the show, makes sense. And I was honestly not expecting that, in all honesty. But which raises some questions about how exactly Raven got the powers, because it was implied that Ozpin knew the original Spring Maiden, and they clearly knew that Raven wasn't it, otherwise they wouldn't be trying to find her so hard to get to the Spring Maiden. But I want to know what went down there, because did this original Spring Maiden die of natural causes, or did Raven kill her to get the power? I don't know. That better be explained at some point, Rooster Teeth. That's all I got to say. And that was episode 12. So yeah, y'all Weiss fanboys, you can put your pitchforks and your torches down. She's gonna live. I knew she would. I knew it wasn't worth getting upset over last episode. And we find out more interesting things, like both about the villains and about anti-heroes, I guess. Because honestly, Raven is kind of the Boba Fett of RWBY. I don't know if she's ever been described like that before, but I'm saying it now. And it's making me real excited to see the next episode, which, as of when I'm going to be recording that, will be on my actual birthday. So I'll be getting RWBY for my birthday, and that kind of makes me happy. So I will see you all next week with my birthday reaction to episode 13 of RWBY. See you then.